Well, hello, scary tale friends. Welcome to the podcast that's guaranteed to lift your spirits. So sit back, relax, and get ready to trick or treat yourself. It's Tara and Ryan's Princess Diaries. Hello, fairy tale friends, and welcome to a Tara and Ryan's Princess Diaries MiniTale. You may be asking yourself, why did I just hear the spooky Halloween intro? And that's because it's our podcast, and we'll put Halloween an extra week if we want to. And so we did. And today we are doing new to Disney Plus, Muppets Haunted Mansion.
Yes.
What did you think before going into this? Like, what was your expectations?
So I haven't seen a lot of the new Muppet stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really seen the new Muppet show or kind of anything that they've done. But I was really looking forward to it because I wanted like a feel-good Muppet movie, and that's what it was. It made me laugh. There were lots of good cameos from characters, and it did all the things that I've enjoyed about Muppet movies in the past.
I think this was some of the better new Muppet stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I enjoyed it. But I think this is us. This is our first step into eventually we will do Muppet stuff. Mm-hmm. Whether it's like really old, like 70s, 80s Muppet stuff, kind of the newer 90s and early 2000s, and then like maybe some of the new stuff. We'll see. We've recently recorded our Treasure Planet episode.
So we will be doing Muppets
Treasure Island. More Muppets are coming down the way. And because of that, we wanted to also focus this time a little bit more on Haunted Mansion stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, this when you've been on the Disney
I've been on the
World.
Disney World version. I've never been to Disneyland.
Same.
And my memories of it are from when I'm younger. I don't know that the last time I was there that I went on it. I may have, but I don't have any vivid memories. I have them more of when I was younger.
It is probably my one of like top 3 Disney rides.
Yeah, I remember it being one of my favorites as a child,
yes.
For sure.
I love its good like mix of genuinely creepy, mm-hmm. but still like fun, and it's like I'm not someone who likes to watch horror movies. I'm not one of those guys like, oh, I love to be scared. You know me.
Yeah.
I hate to be scared. I hate it.
I have come to enjoy scary movies later on in life.
Yes.
I never watched them as a kid, and now I'm getting into
the Halloween movies.
And a couple other films that are more like thriller, scary.
Oh, well, we watched The Thing, and you liked The Thing.
I liked The Thing.
It's just I like watching scary movies the second time. Mm-hmm. The first time I just sit there and I get so anxious, I hate it.
Yeah.
But the Haunted Mansion has never been like that for me. Do you have a section of the Haunted Mansion that's like maybe your favorite part that you remember, or like a particular ghost that you're like, oh, I love this ghost? Or...
So I don't really remember. My memories are hazy, but we did watch a ride through.
We did before we started this.
Disneyland, and it was a recent one because they were all wearing masks. So it was a ride through that is happening currently. So like the most recent version.
It was not the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay. We've talked about that before.
It was not. I really like Madame Leota a lot.
I do
feel
too.
I always really liked her. She's one that I do remember from a child, but I also think I really love the singing busts, too.
I like the stretching room a lot, and I kind of, I feel like every time I see something for it, I remember it. The gargoyles that are, like, holding the 2 candles, the weird bat creatures that are looking over.
Oh, yeah.
Those are actually grotesques. We talked about that. I'm sorry,
the difference.
Excuse me.
Oh, that's
talked about that in Hunchback. But those grotesques, like, I really remember those guys, and they, like, have this weird, like, latched on place in my memory, but I don't remember what they're from until I say, I'm like, oh yeah, those are from the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah. And of course I love the Grim Grinning Ghosts song.
Oh yeah.
It's so good.
So I've got a few little facts about Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
There are this ride is so steeped in lore that is like actual lore in the ride, and also like people have created stories, and kind of like there's rumors and this, that, and the other. It actually came out. There were ideas for it ranging all the way back to 1951 and possibly before then, when it was just like, here's our first map of Disneyland, an idea, and there was like a crooked walkway up to like haunted ride. Mm-hmm. And they kind of, there were so many ideas pitched. For a while, there was an idea where it was called the Museum of the Weird, and it was a walk around thing, and that's kind of a interesting lore to that, because I think Raleigh Crump was the name of the Imagineer who worked on that, and he had all these weird drawings of like a man made of melted candle wax and like a chair that had like eyes on it and things like that, and all this weird stuff, and then that kind of went away. And then it actually didn't open with the park. It didn't open until 1969.
And when did the park open?
67, I believe.
Okay.
No, maybe before that, maybe 65. I'm not exactly sure.
I'll look that up.
You look that up. I don't have a whole. Here's the thing. There's so much like. I think a lot of my facts are going to be about characters, and we'll just go through the show, because the movie 1955.
July 17th, 1955, The Happiest Place on Earth.
Why did I think it wasn't until the 60s? I was way off. I'm sorry. There's theme park nuts on listening to this right now who are so angry at me. We like the theme parks, but this is more of an animation and movie ride, and I think people get confused with that when they listen, because I feel like you have to be a theme park junkie to be like Disney nowadays.
And I think this is a good place to give some shout outs to other podcasts who have talked about the Haunted Mansion in detail.
Can you name one?
Podcast The Ride.
No, they haven't, because every year they go and they do a little it's a multi-year series, and I think they've only made it in the 3 years they've done it to Madame Leota's room.
Well,
like, it's going to be for years, so it's going to take a while. It's very in-depth.
But they go in-depth is what I mean.
Too in-depth, one might say.
Also, I believe on Carly Wiesel, I've mentioned it before, very amusing. I don't know that she talks about the Haunted Mansion ride specifically, but she does have an episode on hauntings that she has gotten stories about, strange and spooky things that happen in the parks that people who have worked there. So that's not Haunted Mansion specific. I think there's a ghost
in the mansion.
Yeah, so that's not necessarily Haunted Mansion specific, but I highly recommend listening to that episode because it was really interesting. Well, if that's up your alley.
Did you know that in 2018 there was a big report that Disneyland and Disney World had become a hot spot where people like to spread ashes, and the Haunted Mansion was the one. And
the one?
Oh, you get like they prosecute.
It's big trouble, right?
It's not just kicked out of the park. Like it's.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure you can get in like legal.
Yes, it's
trouble
illegal to do that.
Yeah, if you just spread ashes, like a lot of people will spread them in the ocean and things like that, and you're technically not supposed to do that either. And if somebody of law enforcement sees you, I think you can be in trouble for that. So I would imagine spreading ashes on Disney property
I feel
would be like even more
if I was an Imagineer, I would play up the whole thing about people keep spreading ashes on the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
And then I'd add something that just went poof and just shot out talcum powder every once in a while. So people go, oh no, what was that? Because I'm awful.
But there were a couple questions I had while we were watching the ride through, and I should have written them down because you were like, oh, I have that in my notes, and now I don't remember what specific questions. Oh, the voice. Who is the voice of the narration?
That is Paul Frees, and we'll get a little bit more into the ghost host because I think that was like Will Arnett's character in this.
Yeah.
Paul Frees, he was posthumously dubbed a Disney legend. He did the voices of Boris Badenoff on Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Oh, okay.
He was in the Hobbit animated film, Flight of Dragons, The Last Unicorn, Frosty the Snowman, a bunch of the Rankin and Bass things. He did Pillsbury Doughboy for a while. At least he was in those commercials. He was a very big voice actor in that, but I think I remember him from this. There's a couple other things I wanted to go into, and then I think we should start the actual show a bit. Let's not spoil too much.
Okay.
But also there's a couple other versions. If this comes out in November, our ghost bracket has already gone through, but there's a couple other versions in there. The Phantom Manor is the one in Paris, which is a whole different story about like a railroad baron or something. Like they don't have the ghost host, they have the Phantom. And then the Mystic Manor is really far removed from the Haunted Mansion. I think
there's in Disney Sea.
That's in Hong Kong Disney, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And it is very cool, and we should watch a ride through because I don't think we're ever going to get to Hong Kong Disney. It's really cool, but you wouldn't ever think it was like a sequel to the Haunted Mansion or anything, but it's definitely like adjacent to the Haunted Mansion because it's basically like this man collects weird artifacts, and then there's like a magic music box that brings them all to life. So there's like ghostly things happening.
Oh, that's a cool
story. It's
yeah.
We'll watch it after this. It's very cool.
Yeah, am I confusing Tower of Terror with Disney Sea? Is that the one that it's different?
Yes, the Tower of Terror and Disney Sea is
that's
like...
That's what I was thinking was haunted, so I'm switching them in my
They're
brain.
very similar. But there was... Guillermo del Toro was attached to do a movie at one point. As we all know, there's the 2003 Eddie Murphy movie, which I heard was not good. I don't think I know anybody who's actually watched it. But Guillermo del Toro was attached at one point to do a different movie that he wanted to focus on the Hatbox Ghost.
Oh, okay.
And right now there's one in production, and casting it right now are Tiffany Haddish,
I think.
Lakeith Stanfield, who is in Get Out and he's in Knives Out, Owen Wilson, and Rosario Dawson.
I'm into that cast.
I'm interested to see what it is because apparently it's like Lakeith is, I think, the main person. He's like a psychic who's lost faith, like a medium who doesn't believe in it anymore or something. That's just the rumors. But yeah, that's what I've got. Just kind of as a quick intro to the Haunted Mansion. We're gonna ask everybody to share their Haunted Mansion stories.
Yeah, listeners, please, share your memories, share your stories.
Yes.
If you ever had the ride break down and you got to do a walk off on the
They
ride,
do a joke in this about
that. Yeah,
and let's talk about this. This feels like this is really what's the word I'm looking for? This is really like a love letter to people who love the Muppets.
Yes, and who love
Haunted Mansion. Like it's such a weird cross section of detail. Like they've got the wallpaper, but the wallpaper is redone like the Muppets.
Yeah, there are so many things that I'm like, oh, the merchandise is going to be great, and I think they've already come out with some things that are Muppet Haunted Mansion. So now I didn't want to look until we watched it. So now I'm going to start looking stuff up to see what's out there.
And it's 50 minutes.
It's quick.
Like if I were you, pause this and go watch it and come back. If you're a fan of either one of those, you're going to enjoy it.
We're going to try not to spoil it too much, but obviously if you don't want to be spoiled at all, I would say watch it and then come back to us to listen. But, it opens, and I will say, I like that they put this at the beginning, that for photosensitive viewers. So there are lights and patterns and things like that potentially, if you had an issue with any of that, that could trigger.
Can we stop for a second and say that there are parts in this that we both would legitimately went, oh, that, like, I don't think either of us jumped, but something would happen and go, oh, that's scary. Like, we would go say, like, oh, like, that's about it. It is. But I think for, like, a kid, some of those would have scared me.
Well, what's interesting...
I feel like maybe this podcast is revealing that I was just a chicken kid.
And that's what I was going to say. I have a couple friends on Facebook who have children who are relatively young, like toddler age. And I know one person in particular that I'm thinking of, she wrote that her son is just watching it over and over again. So he's really enjoying it. So I think it depends. I think if you're young, you might not pick up on certain things that then maybe you would when you're older. I don't know, but
it's not even pick up on things. It was things that like...
Some of them happen quick.
It was a little bit of special effects that kind of made me go, oh, I don't like that.
But it seems, from what I've heard, that children and adults alike are enjoying this movie.
Yeah.
But I just wrote here, too, I love the Muppet ghosts. So they're just a generic white ghost that's kind of throughout this, but they're Muppified. Because they have a face like a Muppet, and then they've got hands that look like Mickey, like gloved hands, and then
what I bet those
fabric.
are? I bet those are just gloves, and then they put
Oh, their
into
actual
it,
hands in
maybe.
them.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
maybe.
I
I don't
couldn't
know.
tell
I'd
if
be
they were.
interested.
Muppets tend to have one of two hands. They have like the actual like glove hands, so you can get finger articulation, or they have like the stick that just does
Yeah,
that.
and I'm not sure which one it was, but I am obsessed with them and kind of want to make my own ghosts that look like them for our Halloween decorations.
Do we want to? I think I'm hesitant to think about how we discuss this because you could do the plot, which I think we could kind of generally hit the big beats. The jokes are what I'm here for, like what I would want to watch, so I don't want to ruin a lot of those.
Yeah,
but like
I didn't
the
write
design
a lot of the
and
jokes,
stuff.
but yeah, I did
let's-
write things we liked, things
Yeah.
that I thought was cute.
Let's hit the big beats. It
Okay.
starts off with Gonzo and as you pointed out, as you liked it, starts out with Dr. Teeth singing Dancing in the Moonlight.
And it's now my new favorite version of the
That's
song.
really good.
And it comes back at the end in the credits. They're all singing it.
And it's Gonzo and Pepe the Prawn in a limo going
the king
prawn, pardon me, going to a what they think is like he's been invited to a party to the mansion, to the haunted mansion.
Yes, and essentially there is a magician that
The Great MacGuffin.
Yes.
Which is funny because a MacGuffin is the thing that moves the plot along. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And so Gonzo has admired this magician and he disappeared in this mansion 100 years ago on this night. So we find out that the Muppets, Kermit and Miss Piggy are hosting a Halloween party. It's apparently something they do every year. And this year Gonzo and Pepe are not going to it because they're going to the mansion instead.
Right. Now,
it is weird to see Muppets with cell phones.
Oh, that didn't bother me at all.
Well, it didn't bother me. It was just like a weird thing.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because they're modern day Muppets now. But I'm not my Muppets from when I was younger.
I think Muppets always feel antiquated. Like they came out in the 70s, but they were doing like vaudeville back then.
Yeah.
Like, even now they do this kind of Borscht Belt like jokey thing that feels antiquated. But they all like I don't like when they really up the Muppets. Like to me, a Muppet should have an iPhone, but they should be kind of bad at it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But yeah, so it opens with that. And
Can I ask you a real quick question? How do you feel about it? The new duo being Gonzo and Pepe, and no longer
at
Gonzo
first
and Rizzo.
I was a little bummed because I would have really liked Rizzo, but I actually really liked Pepe by the end.
I feel like that's your era of Muppets is the Muppet Christmas Carol, Muppet Treasure
100%,
Island, like
yeah.
Gonzo and Rizzo, and mine is
the great.
Like I was really raised on the Muppet Show. My parents used to tape it.
The
and
Muppet
show
Show,
it to
but
me.
then also we watched
The original, the Muppet movie.
the Muppet movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
that I feel like was one for you. That was one I watched as a kid, but not one that I watch as much as I watched Christmas Carol and Treasure Island. Yeah.
I saw Muppet Treasure Island like 3 times in theaters. My friends, it was like there was this weird period of high school where I didn't smoke marijuana,
Yeah.
but you would think by the movies we laughed and how stupid we would watch and be like, "This is so like."
Well, they were funny.
But we did it in such a way that was like it literally people. I think there was a point where someone's parents like called our parents was like, "I think they're all high," and we had to be like, "No, we're not." This is just we would watch Wallace and Gromit at like 11, 12 at night and be like, "Yeah," well, like we'd watch this weird like stoner stuff like this and laugh like that, and we like spent our money going to see Muppet Treasure Island and like being like, "This is the best movie ever."
It is very good. But I like that Kermit is dressed as Miss Piggy and Miss Piggy is dressed as Kermit for Halloween. That's kind of a fun thing. And that's the other thing that I find interesting about this is Kermit and Miss Piggy are not the main focus. Like the main characters who you think they might be aren't. Like the star is really Gonzo and Pepe.
Yes.
I mean, it's their story and it follows them. So I find that kind of interesting. I knew that was the case because, again, I'm going to give another shout out to Carly Weisel's podcast. She has Miss Piggy. She has a very special guest. Miss Piggy comes on for 10 minutes and she asks who is the star. And Miss Piggy, of course, feels she should be the star and is the star, but it's really Gonzo.
Well, there's a lot of bits as they go through that are like, we should have had a bigger part, or I can't believe this is our only part in this. So they go in and they meet Will Arnett.
Yes. I don't know if we want to give away all the cameos if they're surprises, but Will Arnett is...
There's 3 I think we should give. The first one is they go and they see the gravedigger.
Yes.
And I don't even remember that actor's name.
I don't,
think
but
it's
I
someone
loved
from
him.
Glee.
Maybe, but I thought he was really good. I really liked him a lot. And I liked that song that goes into
Grim
Grinning Ghosts, but it starts out as its own song.
And but all the lyrics are the tombstones, if you remember going through the line, and the like, here lies Fred, a rock fell on his head and stuff like that, which I used to think was so funny as a kid.
And it's super, super fun to hear the backstories, and also you see ghosts, which are all cameos, which I'd rather not give those away.
Well, because some of them go by so fast, you're like, here, this will be a quote-unquote spoiler. They go by so fast, don't worry, because at the end, they do a whole bunch of, like, credit stuff that shows you who they are. Not just showing the credits, but they're like dancing with the Muppets and stuff. So you'll see them.
Yes, if you miss them along the way. But it's really good. And it reminded me of a really inappropriate skit that we probably can't put on the Facebook page.
No, absolutely not.
But for our adult listeners, the Saturday Night Live sketch.
Chance the Rapper.
Chance the Rapper does one in a graveyard.
It's really good.
And we really like it. So look it up if you're curious about it.
Then they meet Will Arnett, and he plays
He's the ghost
your host. Yes. Like, they take literal lines right out of the ride. And
which I really like a lot. And going into the details, in the stretching room, you know, the portraits are all Muppets, but obviously look like the portraits in the original.
Yes.
And
the gargoyle we were talking about looks like Animal.
Yes, the light sconces.
You're gonna watch it a second time looking for details.
Yes, like I want to go back and rewatch it. A, because it was fun, but also because there are so many little details, and I think that's what Muppets movies do really well, is they really hone in on all those little details. And when it's something like Haunted Mansion that's so beloved by everyone, they took it to the next level, making it Muppified, which I think is really cool.
The one thing is to look for all the Haunted Mansion characters or references, and then you find them, and then you go, oh, like, look how they've done this one thing to make it different.
Do we want to say who Madame Leota is?
I mean,
we don't have to.
No, let's.
Okay.
I think her room's a lot of fun.
I enjoy that part with the Muppet that is Madame Leota.
I think the part where he says something about, like, hat, fat, rat. She says, you rhyme something with bat. And he goes, fat, hat, rat, fat. And then there's a fat rat with a hat. He's like, I prefer husky. Like, really dumb jokes like that.
Also, for this I want to say this because not everyone might not know this, but there is a woman who polishes Madame Leota.
Yes.
The Muppet who's playing Madame Leota, and it is the daughter of the original Madame Leota.
Kim Irvine. Let's say Irvine. Kim Irvine. She is the daughter. So the original Madame Leota was Leota Toombs, and that can't be right. Was it Leota Toombs? Was her name Toombs? Leota? So it was an Imagineer. I have to double check that. I might have written my notes wrong. And
do you want me to look it up?
Well, that's fine.
Okay.
The voice was Eleanor Audley, who is Lady Tremaine and Maleficent.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they did a Christmas overlay for The Nightmare Before Christmas, they used Kim Irvine, which
was her daughter,
the daughter of the original Leota. And they used her in there, and I don't know who the other voice was in the new one, but I just think that's so cool they still use her. So then she's also in this,
which is really cool.
And like she comes over, they're like, she's like, polish me, and she polishes her and like looks straight down the barrel of the camera and like rolls her. Like, it's so really good.
I like that. We see Kermit later on. He has a mustache, so I'll just say that much. But I like him with a little mustache.
There's a big scene in the like dining room
where the ghosts dance, the ballroom kind of dancing ghosts.
And I want to bring up a joke there because they have two Muppets dancing. They tell a joke, and if you watch the first season of the Muppet Show, that was a big running gag in every episode. Is they'd have the scene where they'd have a skit where it's a bunch of Muppets dancing ballroom style, and they're telling just, you know, two-person jokes like blah 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 ha ha ha. You know, like, and they just they
do that kind of a couple times, but definitely once they focus on
every
it.
Muppet is in this movie.
It's really great.
Insane.
And then we get to see Waldorf
Statler and Waldorf.
Statler and Waldorf.
Who you wanted to call, you keep wanting to call Marley and Marley.
But yeah, so we get to see them, and they're really great.
They're in a doom buggy.
Because, they're as if they're going through the ride of the Haunted Mansion, and so there's some jokes about that as well, which are really good. And then they start another song. So there's another big song in this next section of the movie. That
resolves to like a ghostly version of the Muppet Show theme.
Yes, yeah.
It's very cool. The song,
I think it was very smartly done, the way that they connected everything. And then we go into how nothing scares Gonzo, and us. If you're a Muppet fan, you know that Gonzo's for the thrill, right? He's the great Gonzo, so he's always doing these big stunts, these kind of scary things, and he's never scared. And so that's kind of the focus of this whole next section of the film. Well,
there's two sections, because there's Will Arnett takes Gonzo to go face his fear, and Taraji P. Henson, who has been the bane of my Facebook existence for a while, because I would start typing in Tara to get to her page, and for some reason, for like a few years in like our very early relationship, it would always go, it would like autocorrect to Taraji P. Henson.
Yeah.
Who I was like, no, I don't want to go to the Taraji P. Henson
Facebook
page. Please stop. It was just for the longest time. But she plays Constance Hatchaway, that version of the bride.
And she's wooing Pepe. She's trying to get Pepe to be her sixth husband,
and she's got a heart like that keeps
glowing.
Glowing like that. She takes him upstairs.
Her eyes are very intense.
So she's, a dark-skinned actress, and she's got kind of some dark eye makeup to make her look a little sinister. And they keep doing an effect where they make her eyes glow red.
But it's not all the time.
It's not all the time, but because of, I think, her eye makeup, and they make it look dark. Like, that's one of the things that, like, I was like, oh, that would have scared me when I was a kid.
But, yeah, I really liked what they did with that, and you can see how she's kind of hypnotizing Pepe and getting him under her spell. And so basically it just keeps cutting back and forth. And again, we don't want to go into too much detail because I think you should just watch it.
She's got her five husbands up there.
Yes, which I really like. They're all like making jokes and talking about how she killed them and what their demise was along the way.
One of them's Walter, who was like the new big Muppet in the Muppets, like the one that came out a little while ago, which you haven't seen, right?
I haven't seen that one.
You should see that one. And then the sequel is like a Tina Fey movie, so we should see. I haven't seen it, but we should see both of them.
And so there's another song here. She sings a song in.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so that's another song that happens, and I wrote with the ghost husbands. And then this is where Gonzo, he faces his fears. He realizes what they are. But I will say there is a moment where they show Gonzo
getting older,
and
it's horrifying.
It is a horrifying version of an older Gonzo. So
it's like his nose has like shriveled up, so it looks like a radish
and
root.
He's got like these very thin white feathers for hair.
Yes,
it's really creative, but it is really creepy, which is the point. But that happens as well. You really liked, there's a Fern Monster that comes about a couple times in the movie.
They keep going by this fern. It's got like one eye and then the fern is its teeth.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, you and I have talked about this, I think recently, where I like monsters. Like that's the kind of like, but I like the Muppet Monster or the Monsters Inc. monster where it's like, one eye and a horn and they're wings, weird stuff. And that's the kind of...
A one-eyed, one-horned flying purple people eater.
Yeah, I started heading in that direction. I was hoping you wouldn't pick it up. But like the bush monster, I think does that where it's like, it looks like a bush and it's like, it's got these big teeth.
There are a couple other monster type things in this, but I don't want to say when they are or what they are because they're kind of spoilers or it's a moment that it'll catch you. So I think there were a couple other monsters you liked that I don't necessarily want to say.
I want to talk about one because he's in the background of like a scene.
Okay, yeah, that's
fine. But I want to talk about this because I think he's my favorite underrated Muppet because he's a newer Muppet. Mm-hmm. He was on a show. Did you ever see Muppets Tonight?
I think so.
It was like an updated Muppet show that was...
I feel like I saw a little bit. Yes. I don't think I watched.
There's a character called Carl the Big Mean whatever. Mm-hmm. And the one I remember him from is like, somebody cue Carl the Big Mean Bagpipe Eater. And he walks out and he's got a pair of bagpipes. He's like, hi, I'm Carl and I'm going to eat these bagpipes. And he just eats the bagpipes and goes, burp, but it's like a bagpipe noise under it. And he's like, ta-da! And that's the whole thing. And I will post it. It's one of my favorites. So anytime I see Carl, I'm like,
But he was in it, yeah.
Yes. I'm like, it's Carl.
Yeah, there are a lot of good cameos in this, for sure. And Gonzo faces his fears. They get out in the nick of time. They have to get out by sunrise. And in the end, they FaceTime Kermit. Kermit has a Halloween breakfast the next day. And so they want to make sure that he's getting a Halloween breakfast. And he's like, oh, you can invite your friends. And Gonzo's like, what friends? And they look and they realize that the ghosts have followed them home.
Oh, and then we get
another thing from the ride.
And then we get one last cameo from your favorite character, which is the screaming goat.
Oh my gosh,
there's this goat that keeps showing up and screaming.
Showing up and screaming, and it is kind of horrifying.
He's got like this weird eye where it's like it's not a dot pupil, it's like a rectangle.
Yeah, and then he's so weird. And then I also liked, what did you say it was? Drop Dead Ted? No.
Oh, Dead. It's like
that's Drop Dead
it's
Fred.
like
I'm
old,
switching names.
Yeah, it's old Ted, and there's like old Tom, very old Tom, and Dead Tom from Muppet Treasure Island. And very old Tom and Dead Tom are back, and they keep jumping in whenever there's like a dramatic thing.
Whenever it's supposed to go dun dun dun, but they can never get it right. And it's a bit that happens throughout, and that's I wanted to share that one because that's one of my favorite things about the Muppets is they don't let a joke go.
Oh, they love running gags.
They love running gags. They love to like drag it out as far as possible, and it just gets funnier and funnier. And that is one of many examples. There's a bunch of examples in this movie that do that, but I think that's one of them that I really
want to talk real quick about my favorite character. I don't want to say too much, but there is a French fish in this.
Towards the end.
Yeah, it's towards the end, so don't be like looking for it.
Yeah.
But when it comes up, it is one of the weirdest jokes, but I was like really laughing at it.
Yeah.
It was I think it was because they wrote a scene that was very sincere, and they're just like, we got to make this a little more silly because it's a Muppet movie. Mm-hmm. What else do we want to talk about? Like, I don't want to say too more because I think you're right. I think we should just point people at this.
You need to go in and experience it on your own, especially if you are a Muppet lover. If you're a Haunted Mansion lover, I think you'll also appreciate it for how much detail and how much they were dedicated to connecting the ride so it felt like you were in the world of the ride, but through the eyes of Muppets.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I think on its own, I honestly, if I'm being really honest, it's not like the best piece of media I've ever seen, but it's such a love letter to these two properties that team up so well together. I was thinking about that because I was making fun of how the Muppets always have these kind of like vaudevillian jokes. And then like, so's the Haunted Mansion, because those jokes on the like tombstones are so stupid old-timey jokes that of course this worked well together.
Yeah, it pairs very well together, and it just made me feel good. Like I almost would just go back and put it back on right now after we're done.
I'll be honest, I think we're gonna watch Mystic Manor after this because I think you should see it, and since we're not gonna get out there. But guys, check this one out. Do we have anything else we want to say?
No, just go watch it.
Yeah,
it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's November, but go out and give it a little extension of your Halloween holidays. As always, remember to rate, review, subscribe, and tell a friend about our little podcast. But we will see you later with some, we promise, non-Halloween content coming up.
However, we do want to hear from you. So let's hear your Haunted Mansion stories and or Muppet stories for that matter.
Absolutely. Let us know who your favorite Muppet is, your favorite ghost is. But until next time, we'll see you around.
All right, take care, listeners.
Thanks for listening, Scary Tale friends. Don't forget to send us an email at trprincessdiaries@gmail.com or tweet to us at trpdiaries. Search for Tara and Ryan's Princess Diaries on Facebook to join in the fun. Or call our super easy to remember phone number, 707-YO-TRPD1. That's 707-968-7731. Remember to give us a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Creep it real.